Coming up on 5 Minute News. Germany says Soviet-era nerve agent used on Russia's Navalny. Stop or suspend West Bank annexation, questions Israel-UAE deal. And Facebook says Russian campaign targeted left-wing voters. It's Thursday, September 3. I'm Anthony Davis. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny was poisoned with the same type of Soviet-era nerve agent used in a 2018 attack on a former Russian spy, the German government said yesterday, provoking outrage from Western leaders who demanded Moscow provide an explanation. The findings, which experts say point strongly to Russian state involvement, added to tensions between Russia and the West. German Chancellor Angela Merkel called Navalny's poisoning attempted murder meant to silence one of Russian President Vladimir Putin's fiercest critics. The Berlin hospital treating the dissident said he remains on a ventilator, though his condition is improving. It says it expects a long recovery and still can't rule out long-term effects on his health from the poisoning. The German government said that testing by a German military laboratory showed proof, without doubt, of a chemical nerve agent from the Novichok group. British authorities identified Novichok as the poison used on former spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter in England. Navalny, a politician and corruption investigator, fell ill on a flight to Moscow on August 20th and was taken to a hospital in the Siberian city of Omsk after the plane made an emergency landing. He was moved 2 days later to Berlin's Charité Hospital, where doctors last week said initial tests indicated Navalny had been poisoned. Navalny's allies in Russia have insisted he was deliberately poisoned by the country's authorities, accusations that the Kremlin has rejected as empty noise. It would not be the first time a prominent, outspoken Russian was targeted in such a way, or the first time the Kremlin was accused of being behind it. Navalny's allies have also accused Russian authorities of delaying his transfer out of the country after the poisoning. A difference between English and Arabic versions of a trilateral statement after an historic flight from Israel to the UAE has been seized upon by Palestinians to suggest the Gulf state has overstated Israeli readiness to drop West Bank annexation plans. The English version of a joint communiqué by the United Arab Emirates, Israel, and the United States in Abu Dhabi on Monday said the accord had led to the suspension of Israel's plans to extend its sovereignty. But the Arabic version, carried by the UAE state news agency WAM, said the agreement has led to Israel's plans to annex Palestinian lands being stopped. The discrepancy was highlighted by Palestinians after Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner flew with US and Israeli delegations on the first Israeli commercial flight to the UAE to cement the normalization accord, the first by a Gulf state. The UAE has portrayed the accord, announced by Trump on August 13th, as a means to halt Israeli annexation of occupied West Bank lands, where Palestinians hope to build a future state. Hanan Ashrani, a senior PLO official, said it was a forked-tongue attempt to influence public opinion in the Arab world. I don't think it's a problem of translation. I think it's a disingenuous way of trying to manipulate the discourse, she said. The Arabic translation is a way of misleading Arab public opinion by saying they have succeeded in stopping the annexation, while actually they suspended it. In recent election campaigns, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu promised to apply Israeli sovereignty to West Bank areas, including Jewish settlements, but said he needed a green light from Washington. During his UAE trip this week, Jared Kushner also used the word suspend. A Russian influence operation posed as an independent news outlet to target left-wing voters in the United States and Britain, including by recruiting freelance journalists to write about domestic politics, Facebook said on Tuesday. Facebook said the operation, which partly focused on US politics and racial tensions in the run-up to the November 3rd election, centered around a pseudo-media organization called Peace Data. The website operated 13 Facebook accounts and 2 pages, which were set up in May and suspended on Monday for using fake identities and other forms of coordinated inauthentic behavior, the company said. Facebook said its investigation found links to individuals associated with past activity by the Russian Internet Research Agency, a St. Petersburg-based company which US intelligence officials said was central to Russian efforts to sway the 2016 US presidential election. Twitter said it had also suspended 5 accounts as part of the operation, which it could reliably attribute to Russian state actors. Russia has previously denied US allegations of trying to sway elections and says it does not interfere in the domestic politics of other countries. The findings support an assessment by the United States' top counterintelligence official last month, who said Moscow was using online disinformation to try to undercut the Biden campaign and could stoke fears about further Russian efforts to interfere in the November vote. Donald Trump has so far refused to castigate Russia for their interference, knowing that he and his party stand to benefit. You can subscribe to 5-Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5-Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Please subscribe, rate and review us at 5minute.news. 5-Minute News is an independent production covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering unbiased, verified and truthful world news daily.